Hello, my friends. Thank you so much for joining me again. This is Cynthia Clark, palm reading consultant and soulmate expert. You can find me at soulmate.support or at palmistry.world. This is part 3 of my series on soulmate palm reading. And in this series, we are looking at different ways that you reflect your relationship energy through your hands. And in this part of the series, we're going to be looking at the mounts, specifically our giving and receiving energy, so that you can see how that can play out in your ability to have a healthy relationship. Okay, so welcome back. Here we are at part 3 of our reading of a soulmate and relationship system. And we have our devil archetype here, looking at some more features of what he needs to know about his emotional system. Okay, so in the previous videos, we looked at his best matches and his opposite match. We also looked at his heart line and what his emotional flow looks like. And in this video, we're going to take a quick look at his giving versus receiving energy, as well as his confidence energy. Okay, now this is going to actually be located in the mounts of the hand. Okay, so mounts are the sections of the hand that are like little bulges. Okay, so when you look at like this one over here, this is his Venus mount, which is the biggest mount in the hand. And it looks like a little pillow, which is, you think of like a mountain, that's the bulge, okay? So this is representing his Venus energy, which is also his heart chakra. Okay, now his heart chakra, we also check its elasticity and quality and color and everything else. And in this case, I would say his Venus is very large. In other words, his giving energy, boy, you have a lot to give, okay? That's what I would say about you. And so, which is nice, but you know, we want to balance that out with receiving. Okay, so when we look at the receiving side, that's over here. This is Luna. Luna represents your sacral chakra, and it also represents your receiving, like how well do you receive. It's also your deep subconscious and your intuition. Okay, now what I like about this is we've got some nice lines coming up through this section, which shows good flow. And yes, the lines do play an important part in each of the mounts. Color-wise, I also like to see a healthy pink color. Oftentimes, this will show up actually as more of a reddish color, which is not good, okay? That's showing that you want to get more control. But in this case, I'd say they're healthy. And I'd like it maybe just a little bit more puffy. You know, it's maybe just a little bit small in size, especially when you look at the size of this one over here. Venus is really big. It's kind of taking over Luna a little bit. Okay, so would you say that you struggle a little bit with receiving?
Yes.
Okay, so that is something that I would recommend that you work on. And in your case, being the air Mercury, you know, devil archetype, you know, it would be good for you to mentally stimulate yourself and, you know, have little projects that you can think about. That's a good way for you to receive, like new learning. Learning for you is really fun.
Oh, yeah.
Because you just soak it up. You're like a sponge. And I think that's a good way for you to receive. And it balances you out in your relationship. It carries over into every part of your life, actually. So that's something I'd recommend. The next area that I want to look at is called your Mars. And that's actually located right here, just above Venus. And it's on the edge of the thumb. Okay, so it's kind of like this little fleshy part just above the thumb. Okay, now this section is looking pretty healthy. Again, we want to have a little bit of puffiness, but if we're too puffy here, that can be more of like a combative or argumentative type energy. If we don't have a nice big Venus to go with it, which in your case we do. But yeah, it could maybe use a little bit more like oomph. So in this case, this relates to your solar plexus chakra, and that has to do with like self-direction as well as your confidence and also your ability to persevere. So I would definitely say, especially because you have such a big thumb, you have really great persevering energy. But as far as like your direction goes, I would put this as average. Like maybe you could use a little direction, or maybe you could think a little bit more about your direction. You're too busy giving to think about it. Okay, when we look at these three mounts together, it's like, well, whose energy is the biggest? Absolutely, your giving energy is the biggest.
It's the funnest.
It is the funnest. We also nicknamed this mount the sex, drugs, rock and roll mount.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the indulgence mount, which of course also relates to the devil archetype. So you are, you like to have your fun.
Oh.
And that's also sexual energy too. So you enjoy, you enjoy activities. We'll just put it that way.
Okay.
Okay, but that's good. But we want to balance out some of these other mounts as well and maybe get them to puff up just a little bit more. Okay, so do you have any questions for me, or does all of this make sense to you?
So have exercises on receiving
Yes.
as well as a backdraw that I need to work on. Right?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
And I would especially put it in the realm of learning for you because you're air element. So different types of people are going to actually be, in terms of receiving, they're going to need different things.
Read articles and stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
reading is good. Yeah, reading, learning, anything that stimulates your mind is good for you.
Okay.
Okay. So thank you so much for joining us, and we will catch you again next time.